All right, guys, gals, welcome back to Step 1 Survival. I'm Staff Sergeant Badass, and today we're going to make a shotgun survival kit. And you can do this with just about any shotgun that has a synthetic stock, or if you have any type of, long gun that has a synthetic stock, it usually is hollow on the inside of it. And you can put cleaning kits, and you can come up with other things for these. Some require modification. Now, you'd have to remove there's a bolt. I'll slide some of this stuff over a little bit. In here, in this guy here, right in the center, right about here, there's a bolt. Now, yes, but with these stocks, they like to fill them up with this filler. It's just a plastic. It goes from here all the way up, and it just takes up the whole space of the stock. And it's in case you run over it with your pickup truck or your UTV or something, I don't know, but it's got plenty of strength back here for once you're done with this. But you might have to modify this section here. So once you pull your bolt out, you'll have to slice out that space and just get rid of it. And that's with some. Now, not all of them are that way. Some you can just, it's just a cap. You just pop it in place. This one has a cap. I can just pop it in place, and once I'm done with all this, I can just cap the end of it. So I got plenty of room in there, plenty of space. And the advantages of having a little survival kit like this is the what if scenarios. I mean, you could be anywhere, and you've got, say, any type of situation where you take a road trip or something like that, and you keep your you keep your pickup truck with a shotgun or something like that, or because a lot of folks will lock their shotguns up in the back and stuff, and there's a lot of different options for that. And you're hunting or whatever, say you're just doing everyday typical activities, and you've got your shotgun and something goes south, you always have a plan, and you always prepared for that plan to go sideways. So you want to make sure that you have contingencies. So this is just one of the contingencies. I like showing stuff like this because not only will I get you better prepared, but it gets myself better prepared as well, because I get to put something else together that I keep around the house for use. And I'm going to show you a few things here. Standard shotgun shells. Something like this. I mean, that's havoc wreaking right there. Good double up buck. That does the job. You got slugs. Slugs are another good option, to have. And then you've got something like this, when you've got all kinds of from any kind of critter to if you're having to small game hunt and stuff, you could use something like this. This would, lots of BBs everywhere. So it's always good to have options, but there's a wide range of rounds for a shotgun, and it's the easiest to reload. I've been reloading shotgun shells for years, and I really enjoy it. It actually is pretty relaxing to reload. And one of the things that I like to pack in some of these kits is a 22 conversion from, this is from Short Lane Gun Adapters, and this will convert your shotgun if you've got a pump. It doesn't matter, semi-auto, whatever it is, or you've got a break action. Break actions are the best because you can actually get the full length with the rifling, and you can shoot 9mm, 45 ACP, all kinds of stuff. They also make rifle cartridge conversions for break actions as well. I've got a break action here at the top. Let me show you my break action there at the top. I've got a break action right there at the very, very top. And that break action, you can actually load anything into it. It'll fire all kinds of fun stuff. I've got 223 rifling that you can just drop in. It's about yay long. I think it's about 10 inches to 12. And you shove that guy in there. It's not practical to lug around with you because it is like, a solid metal. It is pretty much another barrel. So when you do these things, it's kind of like having another barrel to put in there. And this is another example of that. Now, I want to explain something for some folks that don't really know much about 22s or 22 WMR. That's your Magnum version of this. I've got both. I can do 22 or I can do 20. That's not what this video is about, but I like to explain. But see, I want to show like the off-centerness. So this is a 22 WMR, okay? And then you've got your 22. And there's 22 short as well. And size comparison, it is a lot different. There's a much larger, well, yeah, much more. And it's got one heck of a sound. 50 grain bullets versus some of the other stuff like 36 and stuff that you get with 22. But see, the way these go in, you would load this guy in to your shotgun. For example, I'll go ahead and pull a shotgun over here so you guys can kind of see. This would just go in just like you would load a shell. Just slide that in there like that. Now, it sits in there like that. You see that in there? It's right there. Anyways, then you just bring it home. I'm not going to load it up for you, but I just wanted to show you that. This guy here, anyways, when it sits in there, you might notice that it sets off center. Now, it's not a centerfire cartridge. Nope. Most people, you know, it's like, hey, that's kind of wonky. I've seen, you know, people have asked me that question multiple times. I know a lot of you are like, oh, I know everything. But not everybody knows everything. So it sets off center for a reason, because it strikes right here, and it has to set it offside because your primer on 22 cartridges is on the rim. So when it pinches that rim, it actually fires the round. Now, so it doesn't hit it in the center. You know, most people think, everything's got to be center. You know, it doesn't work like that. So I like to share that tidbit of information because it's like, well, it can't be straight because it's not center, but it still is center. It's weird, but it sits off center. So you would kind of like put it in, you would load it in like this. So that way it's still center. And then you want it to focus on the lower end. But if you want it to focus on the higher end, just flip the thing over before you shove it into the barrel. And then that way when you shoot, you'll have the most truest shot. And that's the best way of doing it. I don't know what else to tell you. But they go straight through these 12 gauge barrels with ease. They don't hit the walls or anything crazy for any of you that would ask those questions. But they just go straight through. They're great to have. So I'm going to be incorporating that into this kit. And the other thing that I wanted to incorporate, I got this thing. It's Next Tool and Next Tool. These guys here. I don't know if you've seen them on the internet yet, but they make stuff like this. And it's not like your typical multi-tools. You've got scissors, you've got pliers, you've got a knife, a file, you've got something for can opener. It has everything. So I was like, I want to incorporate this. It fits perfect. And that works out great. I'm going to do an emergency blanket. Situations where, what if you're stranded? You know, you've been taking a trail for hours, you know, or something like that. And what if you lost your way, or it gets too dark and you decide to stay the night? And stuff like that might come in handy for making a shelter. It's always good to have some cordage and stuff like that as well. So that's another thing. Getting into cordage, I'm making these little kits. Now you can pick these up at any arts and crafts store. They come with, you can get the caps. You can get the caps and you can make these little waterproof containers. Or you could get kind of creative. There's another technique where you can take a shotgun shell if you want to, you know, make it fancy, but, you know, get you some empty shotgun shells, and you take them and you take the other end, off of one, and you can actually put them together. They can actually push together, and you can make a little survival kit. The same thing I'm doing here, but I'm making mine more sophisticated, but it's the same thing. You know what I mean? You could actually take these and push them together, and they'll hold all your gear inside, and they're waterproof. So, well, water resistant, not proof, but it still works pretty good. These are more waterproof because it does have a rubber base. But I'm going to be using those. Let's see here. Water purification, I'm doing towelettes. These things right here, you get them wet and they get real big. You can actually strain stuff through them pretty good. I'm doing some aqua tabs. I'm going to be doing a whirl pack for this, the whirl pack, this guy here. And that's for, you know, drinking water. I didn't bring a cup. All I brought was a shotgun. I didn't bring a cup with me. Doing a fishing kit. Gotta have a fishing kit. Have a compass. Gotta have a compass. Gotta have a whistle for communications. If you don't want to use your flashlight, you got a chem light. Bring in a chem light. Little flashlight. These things are tried and true. They last forever, and you can pretty much just store them in things like this. And they'll be there when you need them. Just put something on the battery. You know, you put like a piece of tape on the back of the battery so it doesn't connect on the inside. So you just take the battery out and just put like a piece of tape or something on it so it doesn't drain any of the battery or anything. Let's see. Fire related. Let's do that real quick. Actually, sewing kit. Fire related. I've got some. This is beeswax and cotton, and these little things right here will get a fire going real quick. And I've got some. These are magnesium capsules. You actually can dump these out. It's just all pure magnesium. You strike one of these bad boys with a ferro rod right here, ferrocenium rod. That thing, it can burn through a freaking 2x4, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And you can also use your gunpowder. So I'm going to be packing bullets. And I'm going to be using, I've got two versions I can actually put in here. I've got 22 LR or I've got 22 WM2R. I've got WMR. And I've got a conversion for 410, 45 ACP, or 45 long Colt. I've got 9mm. I can switch this thing over to anything I wanted to, but I'm just going to go with something, you know, useful in a situation like this. I'm going to go with the 22 WMR, this guy right here, and that's what I'm going to be packing. I'm going to be packing this guy in here. So not only will I have my shotgun rounds, but I'll also be able to switch over and fire a shot of 22 Magnum. And reload purpose for that, it does eject. It ejects it. But then all you got to do is just put another round in it, shove it back in, load it again, rack it forward again, and you're ready with another 22 Magnum. That would be great for like hunting purposes or whatever, but it does give you more bullets, and that's the key. But you seal that guy up like that, and then ta-da, you got, that's probably 30 rounds right there, so that gives you a little bit more of an advantage with this guy. And this guy doesn't take up hardly any room. And there's plenty of space to shove everything in there. I'd already fit tested all this stuff, but I wanted to be able to make sure I showed you guys kind of what I'm doing before I pack this thing full. And this stuff here, this is Spartan Fire. This stuff works great for fires. You just rip off just a little sliver like this, and then you ball it up. And you can actually, once you ball this thing up, you can actually use this to start your fire. Just a little bit of ferro rod strike, and you got yourself a fire. And first aid, I'm doing just a miniature kit. That's all I'm doing for this. I got another thing for fire over here that I'm going to be adding. But this is your, just a standard Band-Aid. There's your antiseptic towelette to clean up. And then I've got antibiotic ointment. You always should have this stuff with you, just some antibiotic ointment. If you have to incorporate it into like cotton balls for like a fire starter, it's still there and you can still apply it one way or another. You can still use that as fire tender, and you can also use it for medical purposes. So, and it kind of comes in handy. And then I got just a standard gauze pad. And for tape wise, there's going to be tape on this. I always do miniature Bic lighters because you can break this thing down and make fires over and over again. Not just the duct tape. Duct tape does light on fire. You can't, breaking it up and then trying to strike up the fire rod's probably not like the most practical thing to do, but with a little effort, it can go up. It's very time consuming, but duct tape is flammable and it will light if you use this Bic lighter. It works a lot better. And you can also break down a big lighter into nothing, because even plastic shavings turn into fire. So it's just more options for you. But I usually do this with duct tape, just a little bit. That's about 2 feet worth of duct tape. You don't know. You could use it to patch yourself up if you get cut up as well. Duct tape has a whole bunch of uses, so it's always good to have. And it helps with water resistant type stuff. I like carrying these fire tenders right here, because the beeswax in there helps with waterproofing a lot of stuff. I like to carry a survival card. I do it in little bags. I do like little survival cards. I like carrying these in here. They just slide up against the wall. It's like they're not even there. And you've got stuff for sewing, saw, a spare knife, and all your fishing hooks and stuff are all right here too. But I'm also bringing the fishing kit, so I'm not just going to rely on this. And this also helps with making snares to catch small game. All the little brackets and stuff do pay off. I like packing stuff like this because you can take it apart. It doesn't stay this shape, because all you have to do with these broadheads is you can make a bow. There's a lot of things you can do, but you can just unscrew the backside back here. I don't want to do it because the blades are going to go everywhere, but all the blades come apart, and you could take these and you can slip them in something so simple as like this little guy here. I thought this little thing was neat. Let's see. I have to be careful so I don't knock these blades everywhere. There we go. I'm going to show you guys real quick kind of how some of this stuff works. Like this. Just remove your blades. You can put it back together in the field. Then you end up with that. Then you want to put your base back on like that, and just store it. There's that. Start sliding in your blades like that and like that. Now that takes up a lot less room, and it's convenient, and just slides right in there, and you're done. So also matches. Bring matches. These are from an MRE, but you can't go wrong. They take up less room because they're flat, and with the stick type, they tend to take up a lot more room, and like they're strike anywhere. But I'm gonna go incorporate something like this because I needed a bit more room to squeeze this stuff in there, so to make it all work. But that's it, and you would be all right with that, and that's all the room that you really have in the stock. You could probably come up with more techniques to make it fit a little bit more compact, but that's about the basis of it. When you're done packing it, it'll look just like this. So I hope this helps, and please be sure to share. God bless. Take care.